Saturday. This is Julie HR, and today we'll be going over HR Workbooks for Leaders by HR Education Edge, which is my company. We're going to take a look at a whole plethora of different types of leadership and management workbooks, and I'm excited to show you all that I have so you can take a deep dive and look at them in my Etsy store. So let's go ahead and take a look at Leadership for Managers, which is actually the first one I ever created. Leadership for Managers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of scroll through them so you'll know exactly what workbooks are actually available for you to purchase. So this is Leadership for Managers, and it's just not a book. You can read along the side, Leadership for Managers Workbook, and it has different topics: leader mindset, trust, credibility, emotional intelligence, leadership, communication, productivity, and so on. But not only are your managers, like let's say you're an HR director and your managers need some guidance and they want to have a type of a leadership group that gets together of maybe new managers that want to get together and work on their skills. So it's just not going to be reading through a lesson or reading through a chapter and then just kind of digesting it. It's going to be reading through that particular lesson and then actually applying what you know and what the manager knows and what the manager is capable of doing and implementing that particular skill. So with that being said, Leadership for Managers. So when you open up Leadership for Managers, you'll see an intro that talks about it. But then once you open it up, you'll go to, let's say, the first page. Right here, it had leader mindset. So I'll go over to here. Lesson 1, leader mindset. So it'll talk about the actual, and this is a great workbook along with most of them to incorporate within a group of managers who maybe meet once a week or maybe once every other week, and they do a lesson and they share and they give examples of how they do or will cultivate this skill. So what they'll do within the workbook is they'll read the first lesson, Developing a Leader Mindset. The transition from individual contributor to first-time manager involves not just a change in task, but a fundamental shift in mindset. Developing a leader mindset entails adopting a broader perspective, focusing on guiding your team to success rather than only achieving individual goals. And it goes on a little bit more. And then I have a section that says importance, establishes a solid foundation for future leadership growth, enables you to motivate and guide your team effectively, sets the tone for a culture, and the continuous improvement. And then there's a question, and this is where the managers will work together to answer the question. How do you think these items of importance could relate to your team? So you have a manager and they're thinking about their team, but they're also thinking about this first lesson and how in their mind they can develop a leadership mindset to implement it into their day-to-day activities to strengthen their team and to strengthen the organization. You go down a little bit further, it talks about exercises to cultivate the skill. So this is part of the workbook. How will you go about cultivating this skill if you regularly exhibit this skill? If you regularly exhibit this skill, please share your action steps or how you'd like to improve. And as I mentioned, this would be so great to do with a bunch of other managers, and all of you, like the managers get together, they talk about their answers and their experiences and how they'd solve a particular problem. And it's just them leaning on this workbook to guide them in making them a better leader and being in a group of their peers. And I said, okay, so exercises to cultivate this skill. Self-assessment. Periodically analyze your behaviors and decisions to ensure alignment with leadership principles. Okay, So how, as a leader, are you going to go about doing that? So for example, you could say, I every day or maybe once a week write down, I cultivate this skill via writing down the behaviors and decisions I make on a daily basis, the ones that impact my team the most, and I watch how my decisions change from week to week or whatnot. Okay, peer feedback. Okay, how will you go about cultivating and getting peer feedback? Well, number one, it says actively seek feedback from your team members or fellow managers. Well, just in doing this exercise with a group of other managers, you're actually going to be getting peer feedback. Role playing, practice making difficult decisions in a simulated setting. So you may want to actually work with some other managers, maybe just talk about some difficult decisions, or just maybe just elect two managers that are within this manager session and have them kind of have a disagreement about something. And then the other managers within the group decide how to solve the particular issue. Long-term planning, dedicate time to envision and strategize your team's future, then communicate this vision to your team. So how are you going to go about cultivating this skill? And like I said, it's up to you. It's up to the manager to write out how they're going to cultivate this skill. Are they going to write it down? Are they going to talk about it? Are they going to map it out for their team members or whatnot? But this is just developing a leader mindset is a great first lesson for this particular workbook. And then you have building trust and credibility. So as a HR leader who, sees lots of managers, this is going to make your job a whole lot easier. Why? Because number one, you're giving your managers within your organization the tools to actually thrive and to learn how to be leaders. You're not going to be dealing with, let's say, perhaps the employee who is a subordinate of one of the managers. They're not going to be coming to you. They're going to be going to their actual manager. It is important for, employees to come to HR for certain reasons, but, a lot of times it can be figured out with their direct manager. But by giving this particular workbook to your managers, it's a digital download, it's in Word, you are going to be giving them, it's going to save you so much time. Let me just tell you, I've gotten so many praises of, hey, Julie, I'm so glad I got this for my group of managers. Turnover has decreased. Therefore, the paperwork has decreased. Therefore, the cost of it saves the actual HR manager so much time in the long run. They're not having to refill positions where employees are leaving. Why? Because you're giving your managers the tools they need to be leaders. And when they're leaders, their employees will follow them and will respect them, and it's just number one, and it actually gives the leaders confidence too. Okay, so before I get too excited about that, and it just goes on and on, emotional intelligence, and one lesson a week. Oh my gosh, your managers after 12 weeks, you're not going to have any employee relations issues coming to your office or anything like that from any of these managers' employees. I can see that already, because this is such a great book. I really enjoyed creating this. Another one of the first time manager workbook. I created this because I used to, all of this that I share with you, that's on my Etsy, with all the templates, or on my YouTube. It all comes down to my experience. It all comes down to my experience in the corporate world. and creating things that I knew would help me as an HR manager free up my time, as director, free up my time, put the ownership in the manager's laps to actually cultivate a culture that is just amazing. And once you get that culture going within your company and you get your managers on the same page and they are all delegating correctly to their employees, there's communication, there's trust, there's a culture with core values and a strong mission plan and vision plan. I mean, I tell you what, that organization, let me just tell you, the CEO was very happy with what I created. So this was just another one of the win-wins. Team leadership for managers. That's another workbook. All these are workbooks. Top 10 leadership best practices and 30 corresponding leadership action items. And here we have the manager's playbook workbook. Be consistent, be a straight shooter, offer a challenge, know where and when to give feedback. Okay, employee time management workbook. This is great, and I actually think, let me see, did I pull it up so we can look at it? Hold on. Time management, yep. I put together a number, and actually, I'm going to flip back over here. Sorry about this, guys. Employee manager workbook. Typically, I have the things along the sides right here that says, what the topics are or whatnot. But I think I actually put like 14 or 15 items in there, and it didn't actually fit on there because there's just so many ways to save time. So this is a time management booklet that could be used with managers to help their employees schedule their time. What people don't understand is your time is very valuable, and scheduling it correctly and teaching your employees how to schedule their time correctly will save you so much time, will increase the productivity of your team, and it will just enhance so many other aspects within the organization. And so here is my time management workbook. There's so many different techniques, and every technique, there's a description. You've got the importance. There's some exercise and questions. So people just aren't reading this. They're going to be interacting with it. And when you're interacting with things and you're answering things and you're working with other people, you will learn. You will learn. And that is what's so very, very important about, being an HR leader, is understanding that what you give to your leaders and your managers and what they take to their employees, and the employees are interacting with the curriculum, they're going to learn. They're just not reading. They're actually going to be doing. There is this wonderful quote, and I right off the top of my head, I can't remember it, but it's like, tell me and I might listen. And then there's tell me and I might listen. But it's involve me and I will learn. It's actually I think it's about Abraham Lincoln. Involve me and I will learn. So your key as an HR leader is to get people involved. Involve them and they will learn. So here's the time management one. Moving right along. There's also, here's a safety first one. It's great. If you're into safety, 34 safety strategies for managers. Conflict resolution for managers. Ding, ding, ding. This is gold mine. This is a gold mine. I think it's only $8. And I think I lowered the price because I'm I just want so many people to have it. So let's see. I'm going to go over here to my little Word. So you'll see the Introduction to Conflict Resolution Workbook. What's in it? Encouraging communications, controlling responses and reactions, recognizing signs of conflict. So you're going to be giving these tools to your managers to be able to deal with the conflict effectively, so you don't have to deal with the conflict unless it's just really, really high level. And plus, as a manager, they're going to need to learn how to do this. And a lot of managers, what I've seen, they've been great in a solo role, but when you move them to a managerial role, they've never been a manager. So that's just not going to translate all that well if they don't get some training. So all these books are, trust me, like I said, they've helped. They've helped out the organizations I've been. Conflict resolution. Here's number one. Encouraging communications, creating a workplace culture that encourages open, honest, and respectful communications is essential for fostering collaboration and reducing conflicts. And then I have, the importance piece of it. How do you think these items of importance could relate to your team? So it allows the manager to sit back and think, okay, how does this relate to my team? How can I implement it? How do I see this, working out? And then here we have the exercises again. Active listening practice. When it has this, just like it did with the other booklet, how will you go about cultivating this skill? If you regularly exhibit this skill, please share your actions, steps, or how you'd improve. Active listening practice, the act of fully focusing on and comprehending what others are saying without interruption or judgment. How are you as a manager going to cultivate that skill? And then right here, the manager would put down, I don't know if he was in a group or however, I would cultivate this skill by, and then, or they can write it. And it's just, these workbooks are so wonderful. I mean, books are great, but let me just tell you, workbooks are awesome, especially when you're learning with other people who are also managers with you. So team building workshops, anonymous suggestion box, so many great ideas. Let's go back to all the different human resource department monthly report. There is my number one viewed YouTube video is a human resources department monthly report, where, sorry, this is cut off right here, but it goes over all the different like KPIs and whatnot that you could give to your executive team that says, hey, we hired this many people, we had this many safety issues, we did this training. It's basically, hey, executive team, this is the value as an HR person that I am providing to the company, essentially. Or it's basically just an update, but it's basically giving them what they need to know, hey, guess what? This HR person is a rock star. They are giving me what I need. They are helping my employees. They are giving in a report. You can never over communicate with, some of your executives. Your boss is very important, whoever it is. I mean, it's the CEO, the CFO, the COO. You want to be able to report these numbers and report this data, because why? Data drives decisions. Okay, I get way too excited about all this stuff. I love training and stuff. Coaching for managers, best practices for coaching and feedback. This is an emergency action plan. So if you do not have this within maybe your plant, if you're within a plant facility, this is great. And the other day I created a health and safety program where, you set up a safety committee, emergency preparedness plan, employee training, and it's a number of pages. And there's the employee time management and succession. This is the last one I just did. Succession planning best practices. This one is great too. Why? Number one, it is 33 pages. All the other ones aren't that long. But this one really is, because it really dives into succession. But guess what? It's also a workbook. So you, as the HR director, not only are you going to be learning about succession planning best practices, you're going to be writing down those ideas in these workbook pages that follow the chapter that you just read. So it's just like a win-win. So by the time you get to the end of the book, you're like, wow, guess what? I've almost already created my succession plan. I never thought just reading the book would help me create it. But yes, it's a winner. But I wanted to share these with you guys, and I'm going to put a link down to in my Etsy store where you can purchase it. And number two, it's on the second page on my Etsy store. My store is called HR Education Edge. Take a look, buy as many as you want. Trust me, you will not regret it. It'll be the best money you've ever spent. Trust me, I did a lot of research on these. So trust me in saying that you will love it. So I'll put, all the links down in the bottom. And thank you so much for listening to my video. I know it's been a long time, but keep being a great HR manager. I'm going to be writing some more. I'm in the process of writing some more books about just actually being an HR leader within your organization, how you start off, and whatnot. So just stay tuned. Go to my Etsy store. Follow me on YouTube. I would love for you to follow me on YouTube. I'm going to start doing some lessons. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of the evening, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.